live feed right now. We did just speak to Commissioner.
Well, that was our Julie Denmeyer speaking with Commissioner Robert Rollback, who from the very beginning also demanded the release of this video, along with Patrick Lyoya's family. If you are just joining us, as Julie was just saying, there's a lot to catch you up on, including a timeline of how we really got to this point. It all started Monday, April 4th. A lot of people out of town on spring break maybe were not aware of this story until returning this weekend and kind of seeing all the national eyes, the eyes of the country now on Grand Rapids.
Yeah, this has turned into a pretty national story.
Yeah.
And I think Josh Berry is going to be out in the field right now. He's outside the Grand Rapids Police Department headquarters. A lot has happened on that day, and since then, Josh, you have a timeline for us. Can you please paint the picture?
Yeah, Max and Janice, you know, and just to note, we've been out here since before that video was released. The people have been gathering outside of Grand Rapids Police headquarters, outside of the fence and the concrete barriers that GRPD put in place yesterday following the announcement that this video would be released. And of note, we watched as there was a forklift that pulled up to GRPD as the video was being released in the 3 o'clock hour. They started pushing these concrete barriers and the fencing up against the building. They've wrapped barbed wire around the far corner of it. There's been very little police activity right outside Grand Rapids headquarters. They came out and then people started to yell at them. And a warning that I need to give before we go any further, there has been a lot of foul language. There are people out here. Emotions are running high. So keep that in mind as you're watching this live broadcast. Now, in regards to the people who have been out here, we've been out here with them so far. And they were yelling, expressing their minds ahead of the release of the video. As soon as that news conference started, everybody pulled out their phones. We were all watching that news conference as it happened. It became silent out here. And then they played that first video, that dash cam video where you couldn't really see exactly what happened. Then they played the body camera video. Still couldn't see, but that's when the angers really started to heighten out here, because they've taken issue with this idea that that body camera was deactivated. That's when tempers started to flare outside, right outside GRPD headquarters. And since then, the activity has remained at a constant level. Anytime they see a police officer out here, they're yelling, giving them a piece of their mind. But tensions have been building since before this. For 9 days now, we've had relatively little idea of exactly what happened, only what the police department told us and what the family shared happened.
By the time I got halfway down the steps, I heard a pop, and I didn't know, necessarily what that was, but I put two and two together.
That pop was 26-year-old Patrick Lyoya being shot and killed after a traffic stop at 8 in the morning on April 4th. Grand Rapids police addressed reporters' questions on scene and held a news conference that afternoon, briefly describing the traffic stop and physical struggle that led to the shooting, saying the investigation was now in the hands of Michigan State Police.
So we are anxious to recover that camera and review that video. The individual that was driving the vehicle has not been identified at this time.
Male or female?
Male, adult male.
Age?
That I do not know.
As Lyoya was identified, the NAACP made their demands for the video to be released, and the community and family started to question why he had to die.
He wants justice. He wants the officer to be arrested. He wants the officer to be prosecuted. He wants the officer to be fired. He wants justice for his son.
Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker announced he did not want it released. GRPD initially deferred to Becker, but he still said it was GRPD's choice to make. And on Friday, April 8th, Chief Eric Winstrom announced the videos would be released by noon on April 15th.
Say his name! Say his name!
That's when the community started to organize. Marches and vigils were held over the weekend, with civil rights attorney Ben Crump speaking to a crowd and calling for the release of video.
We have to have that video released, no matter how painful it is, because there's a mistrust in the community. And the only way you can deal with that bridge of mistrust is to have transparency.
Tensions flared by Monday when MSP confirmed the officer involved still had not been interviewed by investigators. Shortly before concrete barriers outside GRPD headquarters went up Tuesday morning, the city pushed up their plan, saying multiple videos would be released Wednesday afternoon.
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
But it would not come before another march and hours worth of community pushback and continued demands to the city commission Tuesday night.
It just shows how complicit they've been this entire time to this violence, and now they want to come out and share condolences, sit next to the family at church and, tell them how sorry they are. But it's like, you can't be that sorry if you've done nothing to prevent this.
This was preventable.
Yeah, this is preventable.
And it's important to note that the activity that we're seeing right outside of GRPD headquarters is not limited to this spot right here. People have been gathering around downtown. In fact, yesterday we saw a demonstration at Rosa Parks Circle. That's where we find our Doug Reardon live. And Doug, we know that a protest is planned for 5. What does the activity look like right now?